Yeah, I just hit the go live button, Gabe. I think we're live.
Hey, fantastic. Well, if we're live and people are hearing in the chat rooms or the comment section, let us know that it's working. Welcome to Monday mornings, 9 o'clock, reinventing drawing group with James Wisdom.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you so much for for introducing me. And Gabe, you're on your way back home from hell.
I am currently driving back from Hill City, and so I will be invisible and in and out probably because I'm going through rural Pennsylvania now. But yeah, it was an amazing tattoo convention. It was my first one back from COVID, or not back from COVID. I guess we're still in fucking COVID. My goal really was to, oh shit on me. Hey, well, I'm also driving, trying to figure out directions, so I'm gonna leave most of this one obviously to James because he's been well, he's the artist anyways. But yeah, certainly you got to catch the show, hellcity.com. You never Arizona in August, and yeah. Sorry to miss you there, James, but I'm sure that we will catch up in the future in person.
Well, I definitely hope so, but tomorrow's never promised to us. But the past is gone and the future never comes, right? All we have is right now, but you're choosing to spend your right now right here on Drawing for Tattooers. I'm James. With me, as always, is Gabe, and we're gonna try to get into it. Yeah, if anybody missed me last week, I apologize, but I'm a-okay. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you've got your pens and your pencils and your papers. We're gonna do some drawing today, and I'm really excited. Gabe, you shouldn't draw. You're driving.
Oh, I never draw, frankly. Isn't that kind of weird? I take seminars for like 20 years, but I haven't drawn a thing.
Well, drawing is actually used as a type of therapy. So it has so many functions. I think it's something that everybody should work into their practice. I'm going to
I do
encourage
agree.
I'm going to encourage you just to do it because honestly, I think a lot of us, even us that we claim artist as our identity, we uh, we have misconceptions about what our marks look like. We have like inconsistencies in our understanding about what it is that we make, and how it is that we make it. And so I think having regular practice where you sort of you're not worried about necessarily achieving results for a client, or or necessarily even like something that's readable by somebody else, can still be something that's really valuable for you. So just kind of letting go, I think, and enjoying the process of drawing. So
Oh,
the
a
love of
thousand
drawing.
percent.
Yeah, the love of drawing. So because what is tattooing, right? If it's not a type of drawing, right? And painting too. What is painting? But it's a type of drawing, and drawing is painting, right? And drawing can also be this form of of really making indelible marks, right, on the surface of something, into the hide of something, if you like. This has always been the history, and so I think tattooers take part in a rich history, right, of human like interaction and human invention. And tattooing is surely an ancient thing that is still alive and well today. So the more that we can learn about drawing, and the more that we can sort of learn about ourselves, the better our drawing, and probably the better our tattooing will be as well. So, all right, I'll get class started today. I just have some brief notes. I want to peruse my notes. Yes, right. I'm not going to cover the material that we went over at the last class. Just briefly though, we talked about ellipses. We talked about how to structure them, right? And we also talked about squares and circles and perpendicular angles. And so hopefully, like if you need some review, go back and see the previous episodes, and that will be helpful. But for today's topic, what I was hoping to cover was perception. And so, Gabe, let me ask you: can we get a sound check? How we sounding, Gabe? Can you hear me?
It sounds fine to me.
That's terrific.
I can hear you
If you're in
perfectly.
the chat room, let's hear from you. Where are you at? I think they're lighting up right now, but we'll check that later. Let us know where you're watching Drawing for Tattooers from. We'd love to hear from you. So, perception. What is perception? Well, I think that the best way that we can sort of think about it or frame it is perception is the interpretation of the appearances, right? This is our basic function as an organism, is to perceive the world around us. And so all of your senses are receiving stimuli from the world, and you are interpreting always. You're always already involved in the world. You're always already receiving your cues from the outside, as it were. But anyway, appearance is the legible sort of demarcation or separation, right, of one thing from all the rest, right? In fact, that's what perception, I think, can be most accurately termed as, is like seeing the one, right? A one thing, one whole thing that you can determine as apart from all of the other information that you see. And this could be a figure, a body, right? It could be a letter form, like a letter A. It could be a building, right? It could be, if you're flying on an airplane or a jet, you could see the coastline. So I mean, you could think of an enormous landmass, right? That could be sort of totalized as one thing in your mind. But of course, that's just the beginning, right? It's almost like a zero level of appearance. It's as if as soon as you discover the identity of something, it's no longer that. It's more than that or other than that. So, this perception that we're talking about was really sort of explored through the Gestalt psychology, Max Wertheimer, other Gestaltists as well, they're philosophical ones. The idea behind
wait. I'm going to put a pause on that.
Yeah.
We are talking to. What
Let
is a
me
Gestaltist?
let me help understand. Let me help you understand. So we'll set aside the fancy terminology. I'm just talking about being able to look out in the world and perceive distinct things, right, from other things, right? This is what Guy Aitchison talks about in his pos-neg relationship, right? The positive, the negative. This is exactly the same thing. So there's a lot of overlap here. And so I'm going to try to use Guy's terms. I'm introducing I'll introduce you all the formal terms, and you don't have to memorize them. I like the way Guy talks, to be honest. I think Guy's teaching style is something I really admire. And so, I want to, I can't help but to synthesize the things that I know, and bring it to the table, but also I want to make this accessible for everybody, right? So, and I think Guy's approach is really, going to be key here, right? So I want to link up this idea of Gestalt, right, or the law of simplicity, right? We are always simplifying things to the utmost, right? We always want to sort of figure out like what belongs where. For instance, if you were to you take a look at my finger, right? Well, you see it and you may sort of notice it as one thing. but you couldn't help but to realize that it belongs to my hand, and then my hand belongs to my arm and my body, so on and so forth. And so perception is that moment by moment discovery of the connections of everything. So I hope that helps. Gabe, what do you think? Are you with me? Can you
Yeah,
handle
no, I dig. Like a lot of what language is what it feels like, taking the to your point, it's like taking the perceptions of what you can see, but then the brain fills in the blanks of the history. So again, you might look at a branch, but to your point, it's like your brain is like branch of a tree with roots in the ground on the earth inside of the universe, or at least that's what my brain goes. And so like, and in that way, that's when you're aware, how you're aware of how people are perceiving things, then you could actually be more intentional. You could tell parts of the story that aren't actually being perceived because your viewer's brain's filling in the blanks from, I guess, I don't know. I think so.
Said it better myself. I love that. That's exactly what I was hoping to get across, was that. And with one caveat that, we can never get what's really inside of our imaginations, whatever that may be. We can't really get it out. And at least I can't control it. Let's say I could make the perfect representation. I have a picture in my mind and I want to draw it. And I'm somehow able to perfectly get that out of my mind, communicate it to you. I still can't control what it is for you. I have no control over that. And so, essentially, any type of communication there's really an inherent failure. It's always going to be involved in it. I think it's, that's in that space is where we put language. That's where we talk about stuff. But drawing is language. It's the same thing. Drawing is a form of language, absolutely. But
yeah,
I think this is where we're getting to is we're talking about perception, right? And so I think that leads me to to one more term that I want to make distinctions about, which I think will help us, right? That's legibility. Legibility. And so legibility is just simply, I think, what I was describing earlier. If you could, sort of put it all into one sort of case and hand it to somebody, I would say legible. If you say legible, that means you can see it, right? You can see it distinctly. I may not be able to read that symbol, right? I may not be able to understand it, but I can distinguish it from the field of other things, right? And so here's an interesting experiment. Gabe, you're driving in the car right now. You're looking through, hopefully, the windshield, driving forward, right? And so what you're noticing is the whole world around you, right? Well, now notice the edge of the frame, right, of your car, right? Notice the steering wheel. Guess what? The outside world, in a certain way, kind of disappears. It's a strange thing. Our minds can only hold one moment at a time.
Yep.
We can
and focus, right?
Right. Exactly. That's why we can't really multitask.
So from a magic, like from the magician's point of view, that's one of their main. It feels like that's one of their main forces, right? Like they point your eye in one place, and they know that you are physically incapable of seeing what's on your periphery in detail. So like while you're looking at one hand, their other hand is doing whatever the fuck they want to, because you physically can't actually see what they're doing.
That's exactly right. But it's interesting too that you bring it up. I think it's like this is the shift, the switch, right? The gestalt switch, where you notice the different levels or the different layers, right? So you're watching the magician's hand do one thing. That's where your focus is. You can't perceive the other, right? It's like it's not, I mean, you're right. It's lack of detail, but it's also lack of perception. You can't have this dual perception, right? You can't know the whole world and the whole of everything all at once. And so that's why it takes experience to to learn anything, and it takes time. So anything that we can know is going to be sort of known after the fact, right? Is that going to be a good tattoo? I'll tell you at the end, right? So, I think it brings me to like it's like a really interesting example that I like to give to my students, and so I'll share it with you all here. That's this one. All right, so if you're out there, hopefully you're watching this screen and you can see it. Gabe, I don't think you can see it, but I'll just, I'll work through this. I just drew these two lines right here, right? What is this? What did I draw? Well, two lines, obviously. But wait, the two lines and their relationship have caused something to emerge, a third line, right? So by drawing these two lines parallel to each other, relating them to each other, I've created three things, right? And so this is a fun equation. 1 plus 1 equals 3. I like that one. I think that's a nice math equation that you can take. You got to do the whole story though. You got to say the whole thing. I think that's like the magician's trick that we were just talking about, Gabe. Right. While I was drawing.
Oh, sorry, I'm breaking up.
No, you're right. While I was drawing two lines, you didn't notice that I was actually drawing a third line, and that is this is what perception ends up sort of giving to us, is that we can make things emerge almost out of nothing. And so just keep that in mind.
Making something appear in between the lines.
Nice one. I hope so. I really do hope so. That you don't stop at that first read, God, everybody needs more than one chance.
Oh, yeah.
Don't they?
It's also, I can't see it, but in my mind, when I see the two lines and the line in the middle, I'm thinking of the outside lines too, right? Like, so one line has two edges on the left and on the right. So in some ways I'm looking at, I'm like, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, right? If you're counting outside edges, inside edges. The point is,
right.
Sometimes there's like just no simple answers. Or it feels like in life, there's nothing that's super simple, which is why it's so difficult to make things simple.
Less is more, maybe. You know what I mean? I think
yeah, 100%. But getting to that, right? It's like, I don't know, I'm nearly 50 sometimes, and it's like I'm still just trying to strip things away. I'm finding it still difficult to simplify the things, right? Which seems counterintuitive. You would think that things would start off simple and then get more complex, but I don't know. Crazy.
Well, I think that probably it's a movement, right? It's a movement. Things get simple all the time, and then they fall apart, and then stuff gets added on. It gets complicated again. And so it's a movement, a constant sort of shifting of complexity. And it's probably a perceptual one as well.
Yeah, just real quick while I'm on, like I said, I'm going to lose my phone, but Jason Leeser's in the audience. So I don't know if you can check the comments at all, but.
I will try to check the comments.
Okay, all good. He says it's coming through.
I'm gonna do class right now, and so I'm new to this whole streaming game, and I'm also I'm new to the Reinventing crew, and so I just really want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and really Gabe. He's the mastermind behind the scenes. If you didn't know that, better recognize, right? So, but yeah, Gabe, if you fall off, don't worry. we got this. What do I hit end event at the end? Is that, and then we're done?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Like I
So
said,
let's see. So Jason was just saying real quick while I'm
yeah.
driving and reading fucking comments. Clarity and legibility of recognition of images. Exclamation points. He's definitely down with that. Geraldo Romero says good morning all. And I haven't checked the
Morning,
Facebooks or anything.
That's great. Well, well, you be careful. Don't text and drive now. I mean, you know that. But obviously, we appreciate everything you do for us, Gabe. Well, I mean, I don't think you don't hear it enough. We don't pay you enough, Gabe. You know what I mean?
All good. Hey, I appreciate the opportunities to work with so many awesome people to help facilitate this stuff. It's great.
Well, I work with you too, in other along other avenues, and so I just, again, it's like it's an honor and a privilege. So, but also, I've been enjoying all of the shows, all the content that's on reinventing. So I really think, I just want to promote the network. I want to promote, everyone that's involved in it because we're a community, and I think the more that we support each other and the more that we generate content, I think the more traction, the more sort of like the more force we can generate as a group, right? So anyway, I just it's been really interesting and really a lot of fun to enter into this new digital space with you all. So but I'm still on paper, I'm still working on paper. I'm still working with pencils and stuff. And so I think I'd like to take a moment and just sort of talk about materials and tools. I know that we've been talking a lot of theory this morning. It's pretty early, I get it. But maybe you can go back and watch it later on if you're more you're more into the intellectual stuff in the later on in the day. Let's just do something like skill based right now, and I think it'll be really a lot of fun. So I'll try my best to demonstrate it as well as I can. So let's have a couple of pencils here. All right, you can see them. Yeah. Anyway, so this one is a carpenter's pencil, just a really simple tool. You may have one laying around the house, right? You may have one in the toolbox. But a carpenter's pencil really offers you a lot of variety of mark making opportunities. So it's a really inexpensive drawing tool. It's not just for carpentry. And I also have a white charcoal pencil. It's a nice one to have, especially if you have some toned paper, or even sparingly on, like a lot of graphite. I'd say sparingly. I'm not really a fan of mixing these two medias necessarily. I prefer, if I'm going to use, I like to tone in dark toned paper with white charcoal. I think that's a really that leaves a very beautiful type of aesthetic. Or I can use this with other types of charcoal, black charcoal, sepia, other types of Conte crayons or something like that. But I wanted to talk about like sharpening your tools and stuff. So let's see what else I have. Yeah. So this is not a advertisement, but this is my one. I have a few of them. Here's one, and got this other one that's like seen better days. This is the Long Point by Coombe automatic. It's a 2-stage sharpening, pencil sharpener. I'll find a pencil and show you how sharp, but it gets the pencil really, really sharp. I think if you don't have a good pencil sharpener yet, you should get one. Treat yourself. You should take care of yourself, right? Get a good pencil sharpener, for crying out loud. This is a really good one. And I think it's really this automatic long point or something to this effect is really good for colored pencils, right? So if you use the wax-based colored pencils, this is an excellent product, or something like that, right? But if you've got like a very poor quality pencil sharpener, maybe it's old and the blade is really dull, you should donate that to the recycling bin, I think, and get, try to spend your coin on something that's going to be really useful for you. Okay, so all right, that costs money. Maybe you don't got it. That's fine. But you got your inexpensive carpenter's pencil, and hopefully a knife, right? Well, hopefully you've got a knife. This is a snap blade. I can just snap off the blades as I go, and I kind of make sure that I have a fresh, clean edge on my knife. This is important, right? A dull knife is the most dangerous tool in the kitchen. That's that's a saying we have around the kitchen. If anyone's ever worked in a kitchen before, so oh, we broke it on accident. It actually took quite a bit of force. This is a really sturdy pencil, so anyway, now I need to sharpen this pencil again. So let me see here. I have my pencil, I have got my knife, and see if I can show it to the camera exactly. Clean up after yourself, okay? I'm gonna do that, but you don't make your mom do it. You gotta clean up after yourself. All right, so I've got my knife, I've got my pencil. The last thing I want to do is just sort of push down and force it, right? That's not the way, right? Instead, what I want to do is I want to try to use the length of the blade, and I want to slice cleanly through the material. Let me try to get it up a little higher so you can see. So I'm going to use all of the blade, and I just want to glide through. I'm just shearing off, right? The fibers of the wood are running lengthways, right? So as I'm shearing through, right, I'm paring this down. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. I'm just sort of using as much of the blade as I possibly can. And I've got some extra, I'm not prepared today as like I should. Got some extra blades, nice long ones. So I'll change this next time. But this one still works. It's still pretty sharp. So all right. Hopefully the leads, right? We can look at the anatomy of the pencil, because all pencils kind of they share some similar anatomy. So let's see it well. So this is the body of the pencil. What's in the middle is called the leads, even if it's not made out of lead. It's just, that's usually just how it's referred to, the leads of the pencil. They used to be made out of lead. So anyway, we know better now. This one's graphite. This is graphite pencil. So as long as this graphite, that's the center, the media within the pencil isn't broken, if it's a nice solid piece throughout, it'll stay nice and strong. And so far I've had pretty good luck with this, just from the hardware store, not from the art store. You might want to check the quality. You know what I mean? There might be a difference, it depends on what you got. I mean, I know it can really be tough to discern what's the highest quality product for what you're doing, but I'm just gonna try to take my time. Again, I'm not trying to force it. I'm trying to encourage it. There we go. So I've got some of the leads exposed here. All right. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Yeah. So again, action-packed programming, drawing for tattooers. It's Monday morning. It's 8:30 a.m. and you're sharpening pencils with me. I'm James. Okay. Well, this isn't very sharp. We can't draw with this blunt. Look, it's all cracked and blunt. sharpening block. This is just a sanding block. I would sand the drywall in my house with something like this. So maybe you got one lying around. All right, so I'm gonna sand this pencil. I'm gonna hone it, right? And I wanna produce some edges that are gonna be conducive to drawing. All right. This is working pretty well. As you can probably see, I'm getting quite a bit of material on my sanding block. And I think if I just kept going and sanding it down, I could produce all sorts of different like shapes. I could make a really sharp one like I showed you earlier, or of course we could we could leave it somewhat flat. We could have like a chiseled edge, and then we could possibly produce even calligraphy or something like that, or we could get some interesting sort of mark making opportunities with it. So it's honed a little bit. Certainly, I think you could just go at it all you like, but I think from my eye, as I can look at the shape of the part that's going to touch the paper, right? It's definitely much smoother now. It doesn't have all the roughness and all the all the sharp sorts of edges that it had before. It's gonna give us a better result. So let's see here. Grab some paper towel. All right. What do you think of the studio? I hope you like it. I've got some paintings up. Got some drawings and stuff. I'll try to keep it moving in here. Maybe put up some new things every once in a while. I got lots and lots of paintings. I've done lots and lots of tattoos. I love my work, and I love my teaching too. And I love teaching you, and I love drawing with you. So I hope that if you've been sharpening your pencils along with me and you've got your paper ready, I think we could do some drawing, right? We're kind of we're about the halfway point. I think we've done enough. We did some theory earlier on. We did some practical skill building. Nice. We even did a little bit of fun with mathematics. I hope that you enjoyed that. Anyway, I think I just want to get warmed up. I'm just gonna get warmed up, and I'm gonna do practice of my horizontal lines. I'm gonna do for a minute. I'll try to keep an eye on the time, but hopefully you don't get bored. If you can draw with me, right? And I think what I want to encourage you to do is don't just go through the motions, right? If you can, like, actually see if you can, hold your pencil. I mean, you can hold it any way that you're comfortable, but see if you can hold your pencil in a way that allows you to move your arm, right? Like when you're drawing or you're tattooing, do you ever find that you're just sort of really locked up, real stiff, and just moving here, just flexing at the wrist, right? Is that you? I know I'm guilty of it, so I'd imagine that that you might be as well. So this is something that we can always work on. So drawing is a physical act, and so the more that you can use your whole body to engage with it, I think the more force you can apply to it, the more sort of opportunities that may sort of present themselves. And so again, I'm just going to warm up with a couple of horizontal marks, right? Just to, again, this is my pencil. You can't see this; it's too light. So I'll switch over to a marker. I think that'll be better. So, and again, just start to get comfortable with the movement. Try to connect your eyes and your hands, right? The hand-eye coordination. See if you can't make a really horizontal line, right? perhaps you prefer, going one direction versus the other. Perhaps you also, like sort of find that like I do at the end, a little bit of give. Just take your time, focus. Are you drawing along? I hope so. It's more fun when you draw along. One more. Nice. Nice. And I kind of felt it. I'm standing up. That's also a good way to draw. If you ever get a chance and you can stand up while drawing, I recommend it. But also, we're going to have to sit down to draw as well, tattoo all the time. So, I think thinking about your posture, and this isn't just to be proper or anything, this is about your health. That's why I'm mentioning it. I'm not just trying to like make you feel bad about like how you do stuff. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just I'm hopefully pointing in a direction that will be, valuable to you. We can always improve, but if you're working really hard and you're misusing your body, you're gonna pay the price. And I think, if you don't believe me, I think you can just ask the old timers what I'm talking about. So anyway, think about it. See if there's ways that you can improve. Again, even though we may, like when I first started tattooing, it was like big heavy coil machines. They're brass or some other sort of heavier metal. It can be a lot of weight to bear. Now we use these pen rotaries. They're very light. It's almost like this, as light as this marker here. There's still more to it, right? It's how you sit. It's how you address your subject. There are lots of things to keep in mind, and this is I just want to get the ball rolling for you. I just want you to start to think about it. So, all right. I'm going to try to, just do some vertical lines now. Just again, we're warming up, we're practicing. So again, I want to try to get used to get warmed up, get the movement, get the blood pumping. And with the side of this marker, it actually, it's somewhat stabilizing. This is similar to your tattooing tools as well. If you're using very small needle groupings and you want to do like really high precision type of outlining or what have you, it's going to be more technically demanding. It's going to require that you look much more closely. If you're building up lines with a magnum, it's very likely that you might have a little bit more room to sort of to operate. I think that there's always a trade-off, though. You can easily lose that crisp sort of quality. So what is one to do? Well, I think I would refer back to our discussion about perception. It's perception. What does your line mean? The line that you just drew. What is it hopefully helping someone to perceive? That's what an outline is doing, right? It's a shorthand way of telling your audience, hey, perceive this. And so think about your lines in those terms. I mean, of course, they can always have more symbolic importance. Your lines can mean all sorts of things. But, if you're thinking about telling a story, if you're thinking about representation, if you're thinking about legibility, right? Legibility as opposed to readability, right? That's where you can start to unpack like what are my lines supposed to look like? Where are they supposed to be sharp? Where are they supposed to be a little bit softer? These are all these are all artistic, I think, notions that kind of tell the tale about who you are. So just a few more of these. I like it. I think it's like it's calming, and it really does get you warmed up. I mean, if you're, you know, especially if you're going to go sit down and draw something important or tattoo on someone important. Well, every tattoo is important, I think. You should take a few moments and get warmed up and get prepared, and that's going to help you um, achieve better results, I think. So, yeah. Okay, nice. Right now, I've tried my best. I really have tried my best to draw horizontal lines, right? Horizontal, like it's a reference to the horizon line. We're going to talk about that in probably the next class quite a bit. But suffice to say, like, we know that. Hopefully, that's very basic. But if you didn't know that, that's okay. Like there's a lot of terms. I'll just throw out terms. And it's like, God, if you're in drawing class and your teacher is going a million miles a minute, saying all these words you've never heard before, well, that can be really, really, confusing. But that's what's great about this online format. If you're here watching it live, that's cool. But if you watch this asynchronously or on your own time recorded, you can go back and you can review the data, the information. You can internalize it more effectively. Right? You can hopefully get what the teacher was trying to get across to you, but also, understand it in the way that you need to. So anyway, horizontal, right? And then vertical. So the vertical, that's the this up and down line, right? I'm gonna throw another term at you. You don't have to remember this. I may use it when we start talking about perspective, right? But these lines are what's considered transversal lines. Just in, we start talking about like how do we categorize lines? How do we think about them? They transverse across the grid, right? They help us divide up the whole world. Let's do another kind of line, right? We've got this horizontal, this vertical. Now I want to do some diagonal lines, right? So a diagonal line is any line that's not along this this horizontal or vertical relation. So again, I think we could probably do something, right, where you're just always putting a bit of diagonal to the line. Practice, right? Practice going both directions. Try to make sure that you see the tip of your implement, right? Try not to make it so your hand's in the way. You're like, oh, I hope that I'm drawing on the right spot. If that's the case, you may have to do that from time to time, I suppose, but maybe stop and reset yourself so you can see the point of contact, right? You just want to be able to discern that you're in the right spot. Yeah, so very nice. Some diagonal lines. All right, that's kind of fun. I think we can start to talk about some differentiations. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, I can see them. Looks nice. I do this a lot. You know what I mean? This warm up. I do it. I do it a lot. So I guess I get excited about it. If it doesn't appeal to you, just give it some time. You may learn to love it. All right. So I think what we can see here is we can see these vertical lines, and we can see these horizontal ones. We can see these diagonal ones, right? There's something that's happening insofar as our senses are concerned, our perception of these things. What is it? Well, these transversal lines, this horizontal line and this vertical line, move at a particular pace, right? It's almost a steady sort of pace, right? It's static. That's what we call these lines. They are static. They're static, right? They're not moving. They're right where they are. But in contradistinction, if we take a look at all of these diagonal lines, well, they're much more dynamic. They have a movement that we can sort of associate with them. This can be really valuable to us, right? Not that one is better than the other, just that one kind of does one thing and the other kind of does something else. So when you're thinking about composition and you're thinking about, you know, creating representation or legibility or readability, I think you can start to think about the velocity of the movement of these lines. That's probably something associated with, the vision of the subject, your audience, their imagination. But I think, I think you would agree, right? There's more dynamism in these diagonal lines. They are moving at a quicker pace than the static, horizontal, and vertical ones. So just something to keep in mind, right? How that may affect what it is you're doing. So, all right. Move the sign. Dry erase board. Good. Okay, let's do some ellipses. I'm just gonna count them off and draw them. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see me do it, but hopefully you're like you're following along and you wanna get better at ellipses too. All right, I said I wasn't gonna talk about it, but I will. I'm gonna talk about ellipses. Like, how do you construct them? What is it that you're trying to do? And so I'm gonna use a couple different colors of markers. Yeah, we got time. All right, we've been drawing. Hopefully, you've been drawing too. This is like a fundamentals of drawing course. So if I'll be honest with you. I think that there are so many fantastic artists on Reinventing the Tattoo Network that make these incredible images. I mean, so please come back for more, especially if you really want that high polished finish. You're gonna find it here. They're we got the best. The best. I'm doing this thing, I'm trying to break it down as simple as less is more as I can. So obviously we're just, it took me 15 minutes to draw this, nothing, right? But I hope that there was something you got from it, But let's talk about ellipse. What is an ellipse? If I can sketch one real quick, hopefully I do all right. It's a little misshapen. I'm always disappointed with the first one. All right, I'll stop. Okay, what is it? It's like an oval kind of thing, right? Well, it's a very important shape. It's a very important form. We'll talk more about forms as the classes progress, but this is the one that I kind of start with when I teach drawing, because it's vexing. I know that seems really simple, but it can be such a complicated thing to get going, right? The ellipse. So I want to talk about very quickly what is the anatomy of this thing, and how can you start to get a handle on it. And then again, I think we start with this basic stuff about it, and then you can move on to more complicated applications of it. So, all right, ellipses have to contain a short axis, right, and a long one. They have to be perpendicular to each other. Right? This is important. They have to intersect each other at the midpoint of both, right? So you have to have the same, right? You have to have the same on the on the top and bottom of the short axis, and the same to the left and the right of the long axis. I'm eyeballing it, but you can measure it with a ruler. You can measure it with compass. There's all sorts of ways you can measure it. Again, I think I'm not hating on drawing on the iPad. I love my iPad. I draw on it. I wish I could draw on it more. It does amazing things, and it makes perfect ellipses. So if you all about ellipses from your iPad, I think that's great. You may not ever really feel comfortable drawing one by hand, I guess. That's possible too. But I still think you should practice it when nobody's looking. People, like nobody's got to see it if they don't wanna. You don't want them to see it, but you should do it seriously. So I've got an intersection. It's perpendicular, right? So that means it's 90 degrees. And so I want to try to draw my ellipse to conform to this relationship. Proportion. That's another term that we'll cover. All right, so just sort of sketching it in just a little bit. All right. It's a little malformed, but again, it's my second one of the day. I'm getting warmed up, God, think if I was doing this, if I was doing this as a tattoo and you're cold as ice and you got to do some crazy curved form, you know what I mean? You should get warmed up, right? Before you do anything like that. Okay, so again, this is the concept behind it. You can make it conform as much as you like, but I think a real great way to practice this is just to do them. So clear the deck, and I'm just going to practice them. So I'm going to do 50 of them. You should do 50, 50 ellipses. Let's go. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so I've oriented all these ellipses, with the long axis along the horizontal. And so now I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to invert that. I'm going to do the long axis will be related and oriented to the vertical. So let's do, continue. So I did 10, do 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, I'm trying to work the body. You know what I mean? I'm trying to use my shoulder. All of the delicate muscles and tendons that run through, right? The carpal tunnel. You just, like save this for just that right moment when you just need a little bit more, just a little bit more. But think about this, the strength and the power of your big shoulder, your pectoralis muscle, your lats, latissimus dorsi, right? Really, even if you're sitting down, you might even feel it all the way down your leg, right? Where you're really pulling, right? You're twisting your body as you're making these marks. You're not stiff as a board and just right here at the fingertips. Again, I'm not criticizing anybody. It's not about that. It's just I don't know, think about it. Think about the ways you're doing it. And again, I would admit to definitely getting tight. You know what I mean? I get in there and I'm all I can do is this little microscopic movement. Just, choose your battles, I guess, right? Try to use the right tool for the job. Okay. God, we gotta get moving. Oh my God, we're almost out of time. All right, so now I'm gonna go with some diagonally oriented ellipses for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so I've done 30 so far. I'm starting to feel a little bit warmer, a little bit more confident. Just do 10 more. 4. And I don't care if I'm going to go clockwise or counterclockwise. All right, that's 40. All right, And now for this last one, I think what I'll do, just to sort of to have fun with it, what do you do? What can you do with all these ellipses, right? Well, I really like to apply them to spheres, right? So a circle. You take a circle and you draw an ellipse inside of it, and you automatically, if you make them correspond with one another, you automatically get a form of perspective. It just looks like depth. It's magic, right? So I love ellipses for that reason. I think it's because to me, they always represent depth. They always represent the third dimension, right? Like we're doing time, like we were talking about the transversal lines, the vertical and the horizontal, right? And then there's, of course, the orthogonal ones, right? The ones that give us that depth, right? That push space, Right. So let's draw our last 10 ellipses, and we'll draw them this way. So I like to start with a circle, best as you can. And again, I think, if you're ever curious about what your drawings look like, you can always take a hand mirror like this, and you can look at your drawing in the mirror, right? You can see, you're not looking directly at your drawing, you look at the reflection of it. This change of perspective, physical change of your perspective, can help you see things that you have become blind to. So if you're working on something for a great length of time, that can be a good way to do it. But if you want to check for the sort of the geometry, they can also help too. So, all right, circle, and then I'm going to draw some ellipses. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the circle 5. All right. Well, let's just do 2 more of those, and then we'll be at 50, right? So, all right. So circle, and then ellipse. Nice. All right. Do one more. Circle, ellipse. All right. That was 50. That wasn't so bad. I also kind of think that making it something fun, making something like rememberable and enjoyable. 50 ellipses is fun. May help encourage you to do it more often. Again, I don't know if I won any prizes today for how perfect my ellipses were, but that wasn't the point. The point was to practice them. And so what I moved through was, any sort of trepidation, any fear I had of them. I just went ahead and tried it, and so I can now go back, I can look over my progress, and I can see like, well, you're really starting to improve there, or you're really starting to fatigue at this point. Maybe you should consider how, where I stand, or how I hold my implement, how I'm seeing it. I think there's all sorts of ways where you can learn from yourself. You can learn from what you've already done, right? After the fact, right? You did the experience. You didn't know what it was going to be like before you did it. Now you do, right? So that's great. 1 + 1 = 3. Don't say that. Don't. Seriously, I didn't tell you that. It wasn't for me. It's not me. Don't put that on me. I don't know if Gabe is there, but we're really just about out of time. If you're in the chat rooms right now, let's light it up. Where are you at? Where are you from? We definitely want to know. We check that stuff at the end, right? We're definitely interested in you, right? So if you like the content that you saw here today, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Go ahead and subscribe. This is going to help us out, right? It's like there's an economy to your eyes. You looking at us, you spending your time with us, that equates to a value for us. So we really appreciate you spending your time here, drawing for tattooers. Let's see. What's next? Well, there's going to be all sorts of great content on reinventing the tattoo today. But I know it's just after Hell City, so you're going to want to check your local times to make sure that your favorite programming is still happening. But certainly join us throughout the week. Where I think a Tuesday morning we've got Ricardo's Tuesday Feels. I can't wait. So I think on that note, I wanna thank you for watching. I want to thank Reinventing for hooking it up. Thanks again to Gabe. Gabe has been shepherding me through this. It's been really great to work with him. And I just really want to thank you again for coming. Join us again next week, Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're gonna keep on drawing, and hopefully, we'll build slowly on some of the themes that we have been working through here. But each episode, I'm hoping, is basically standalone. You can enjoy it. You can get something from it. I think if you at the end, if you watch all of it, I would hope that you feel like you would get a curriculum of information that you could then take, and you can do what you want with it, right? My plan is for this to be free. It's always going to be available. There'll be more things to come. So be sure to stay tuned. Thanks again. It's Drawing for Tattooers. I got a sign. Right, that. Check us out every Monday, 9 a.m.